Claremont by a goal or two. What about yourself, Ethan?
I'll say the other way, East Fremantle. So underway in the preliminary final of the Colts. Grills gets the first clearance for East Fremantle. He's going to be pivotal.
Tom Grills with the first clearance of the day. What a star he's been in the Colts comp this year. Certainly one of the favourites for the Jack Clark medal.
Absolutely. Had some injuries last year, but you feel like Claremont, a bit more of a contested style of footy they play. So maybe if the rain comes, it will suit them more so. East Fremantle like to run and carry a bit more.
You're spot on. They do have those bigger...
In the middle once more. Van Rooyen gets the hit out, straight down to Banfield again. Nathan's going to trail the ball plates as well. He's actually in the Rod Marsh keeping academy at the Wacker. So I guess maybe footy or cricket is his choice to choose.
Handy position to be in, Ethan.
Non-light shoot. Hanson Nahoy just tried to slap it on. Comes down to Artemis today, replacing Radkovic. Interesting decision. Obviously, Radkovic is another one of these goal kickers, but I guess some could say they went a bit tall against South Fremantle and they're trying to change it up today. Hand pass. Doesn't mind this ground as well. Cast your mind back to a Friday night where he kicked 4 goals and 22 disposals against Subiaco. Big slap forward. Anderson's going to be there. That sort of period where a lot of state players were out as well. Ormerod's gone into the ruck for the Sharks. Goes through his hands. Nathan Banford, another tackle.
That is a remarkable start from the Tigers and just shows their intent early on.
Ricky Smith and the coaching staff will be happy with that. Banfield putting his head over at Grills. Good to see Tom Grills out there as well. There might have been a little bit of a hand niggle that he copped in the game against South Fremantle, which was troubling him, but ultimately lift up as you expect for a preliminary final with what's on the line. South Fremantle just hoping these two teams bash and crash each other as much as possible. Braun maybe copped a high free kick.
It's a mix of the conditions. It's obviously pretty windy out there, and then just the tackling pressure put on by the Tigers so far.
Evans puts his head over it. But in final, how many times do you see the team get up in the prelim after losing finals of the week one? You're not trying to put the mockers on the Sharks here, but you see it quite a bit. Obviously, that's going to be
series, isn't it? You do sometimes come up against the same opponent multiple times, and the amount of times they've turned it around is remarkable. Ever since he's come back from that injury, he's just such a consistent contributor down back for the Tigers. 4
Sharks as well in the Colts team of the year. Hand pass comes out, Armerod there. Van Rooyen, another hit out to him. Artemis. Wait, also in this first quarter of the EGT Colts preliminary final. A spot in the grand final on the line at South Fremantle. Ormerod holding the ball. Van Rooyen just impressive to not give up on the contest there. Quick handball to Jermaine. Jermaine can't quite.
Smalls applying pressure for the Tigers. The big men are doing exactly that as well.
Boundary thrown on this broadcast side. Half forward for the Tigers. Hanson Nahoy's been busy in the...
Absolutely, yeah. He's a good size and a bit of an athlete as well.
So 7 points that the Sharks have been able to cut it back down to. Is up, who's, conceded the goal. They've often scored not too far after that. So the Sharks, they can't put their foot off the pedal just because...
Tigers.
Shallow boundary throw in. Van Rooyen had to attack the body. And he's got very, very clean skills more often than not.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're putting in performances like this as a bottom major, the future is certainly fairly bright.
Won an Alco Cup as well with close if they can win today, and obviously the challenge is going to come against South Row for the winner of this one. Van Rooyen couldn't quite get to down, so that's another factor here at Southern Logistics Stadium. But second quarter underway of the preliminary final. Bit of momentum for the Sharks towards the latter stages of that quarter, but Van Rooyen's going to get a free kick out of the ruck contest. Tries to find Braun over the top. Curtin trying to sell the... It's feeling more so like July rather than September at the moment. But, yeah, grand final day. We'd love to see dry throughout. 3 grades. So throw-in comes on that far side. Van Rooyen goes with the big fist. Got plenty on it. Contact on the ground. So, pretty slow start to this second quarter, obviously, with the weather. Big reason for that. holding free kick coming back the way of the shot.
2 years away from his draft year. He'll be pinching himself playing in a prelim and potentially a grand final next week as well.
Yeah, hit the scoreboard as well. That
from Cody Curtin as he looks to find his way onto an AFL list at the end of the year.
comes down to Nomlachu. Yeah, really interesting where Cody Curtin's situated from a draft perspective. There's a lot to talk about first round earlier in the season, and he might be in that conversation. Ryan, Jakovic, Evans, but Van Rooyen filling in the hole. Can't quite hit the target, but reliable is Banfield. He got a high contact though as he tried to fend off. Luckily for his sake, Banfield, that kick smothered. Nomlachu. Banfield got the hand pass out to Van Rooyen. Probably just winning that battle slightly with Nomlachu. Piercing between. 8 minutes left in this second quarter. The Sharks on the back foot. Could have had
that little bit extra. I'd love to see that. But right now it's Claremont.
Yeah, it's decided in around 20 as well. But Claremont have other ideas in mind as Van Rooyen wins that free kick. Probably just getting the upper hand on Nomlachu at the moment, Van Rooyen, you'd have to say. Nomlachu's had some moments though as well. Don't underestimate what they could do heading into the main break. Had a fair few boundary throw-ins from the forward pocket region. Graham over his shoulder. This is the overlap run that they like to go by through the coaching of Sam Manwaring. Is that front on contact? Yes, it is. Ormerod couldn't quite stick the mark. 40 seconds remain. Can there be another score in the story of the first half? Slap over the back from Van Rooyen, the Sharks. Yo's in the middle. Final. What can the Sharks do to try and bring back an 11-point deficit? First hit out comes down the way of Evans, one of those players we highlight. Hanson Aho is back on the friendship, which was the last grand final at Subiaco Oval, the now demolished Subiaco Oval. So obviously it's been a while in between drinks for them. By the way now, albeit still a high-stakes game of a prelim final.
Absolutely, and the ground has held up pretty well today. Not too many sort of mud patches around. Looks like there's been some East Fremantle players have decided to probably go where the grandstand is.
Yep, they braved it for long enough. Hanson Nahoy off the deck.
Team lifting stuff.
And he's got a bit of claret, so he'll take a run. Just see that bit of blood pouring from his head there, Hopkins. So he'll get off the team. There's a lot of 2008 born players, that being the bottom age year.
Today, to 24 hitouts.
Another player who strong family ties. Given Sam obviously kicked 5 goals.
Curtin being stiff not to get a senior game. Sam Van Rooyen's pretty stiff as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he always seems to be named on the extended bench for the league team, and you think, oh, could it be this week? Could it be this week? The grand final at Fremantle Oval, and none of them won. Which apologies for any memories that's brought up to any Claremont faithful watching along, but I guess
repeat, you don't wish that upon any club to go 0-3 on grand final day.
Yeah, it can be interesting as well, celebrations-wise, when, say, one bigger bodies, East Fremantle, like in finals week 1, they love to get that overlap run, and that's how they did so in the third quarter of the poll on 5 goals. Still searching for the... Didn't give up on it. Inside 50, they really need to capitalise, the Sharks. Willis is there. Van Rooyen getting back to help as a defender when he needs to. So we'll just catch our breath for a moment. Nomlachu worked into this game. We're just giving him that edge. Obviously very 2 athletic rucks in there, but we've seen Van Rooyen get back to help out before, and Lom ruck to replace him, because you want the likes of Wood and Sander to be in their main positions.
Maybe even a Wood. He hasn't had much of the footy up forward. Hasn't been great today. East Fremantle, it's chalk and cheese to what we saw of them a couple of weeks ago. Just haven't been able to get anything going today.
A lot of players like Williams just knowing their role as well. Cross half back and the like. Quick kick comes forward, picking up.
Yeah, they've just had a lack of inside 50s, haven't they? 26-19 in favour of Claremont. And none of them have had tackles. For the Sharks, Josh Nathan is leading the way with 17.
They've got 25 minutes to make something of it, the Sharks. But East Fremantle going to be really interesting to see their body language here as this one goes on. Free kick again coming back the way of Van Rooyen.
He's had a really good start to this final quarter and certainly been the better of the rucks.
Looks like they have thrown Sander into the ruck for East Fremantle, if I'm not mistaken.
Van Rooyen's work rate around the ground has been outstanding. Like you mentioned earlier, the way he can drift back into defence and help out and drift forward as well. Getting down, and like you mentioned, it just works in Claremont's favour even more.
Nomlachu, that's his 14th hit out. The problem is Van Rooyen's got 3rd. But yeah, it's Van Rooyen winning that battle pretty comfortably, you'd have to say. Summerall, see as well out there. You can't blame him. That kick sort of was almost like a boomerang in the end. Melody again, another disposed. Evan is a lot to go through, but I can understand the decision, obviously, doing it because a lot of players go out through 18s and there's injuries and school commitments as well, albeit East Fremantle one Claremont.
Mainly just senior footy, wasn't it? And McManus getting a go at the seniors in the latter half of the year.
Obviously, they've missed Cooper Ramsey as well this year. And Rooyen, that door opened up for him. So it's funny how those things can work out. And then those teams meet in a preliminary final.
Yeah, it's a shame that he just couldn't get going.
Lachu's probably more of a backup ruck, just given they'd like him a bit more forward. And he's probably had to change his role a bit this year. But Cooper Ramsey, he's going to the state.
Unfortunately, due to injury.
We do see a lot of the late picks, such as rookies in that, tend to favour sort of key position players and even rucks as well. We cast him up.
Artemis, Hearn, they've all still got a long wait before their draft years.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because obviously, an eye to the future. So from a coach's point of view, I suppose it's getting that balance and obviously playing your best team for the now, but also setting yourself up for 2026 and beyond. Here's Cox preparing for the future as well, but obviously got their eyes set on the grand final, but they've got a lot of bottom ages as well this year who are going to be there next year. So
3 Claremont always get a few drafted pretty much every year. They've certainly got a few in the mix again this year as well. Has been arguably the Sharks' best, hasn't he, in the midfield? Certainly hasn't had his colours lowered.
Taking out of the ruck, Van Rooyen did out and then gets tackled there, but no free kick awarded. Van Rooyen again hacks it out of there. Head strapped up, as he's done throughout this final series. Sitting underneath it, again getting back to help out Van Rooyen. And that, you think this one's in the bag. Obviously, clock continues to run, so even if East First score goals, it's going to be tough to come by, especially as they lock it in here again.
Yeah, I agree. Get 3 players off the ground when maybe it ticks down to about 4 minutes and the lead's still 21 or so points.
You wouldn't want to leave next week at Optus Stadium, isn't it?
Yeah, South Fremantle are going to be tough to beat, aren't they? They've been the #1 team.
They'll go in as favourites, you'd have to say. I think about 2.5 minutes by the time this ball was one out of the centre, if any team can do that. Van Rooyen spun the 360.